What's in a name? Virginia attorney Robert C. Smith is demanding the University of Richmond pay him $3.6 billion after changing the name of its law school, which was originally named after one of his relatives.
Yeah, the name change occurred last year after it was discovered the school's namesake T.C. Williams owned slaves. The Williams family has donated hundreds of thousands of dollars since the law school was established, an amount Smith claims exceeds $3 billion when adjusting for inflation.
We are taking up the case in National Report Court. For the purposes of this segment, criminal defense attorney Brian Silber will be taking the side of Robert C. Smith. On the defense, the side of the University of Richmond trial attorney Hunter Shkolnik. Great to have you both, and thanks so much for coming on. Brian, if you could, walk us through Mr. Smith's case. How can he really compel the university to pay back these donations? Is there a precedent here?
So I really have one question for the plaintiff in this case, and that is, was this money donated pursuant to a contractual agreement? You know, I see the word donation. A donation is a gift. And when you gift somebody something, they don't necessarily owe you anything in exchange unless there was a contract, which makes it not a gift. So in terms of whether or not he has an entitlement here will all depend on whether or not the family had a contract with the school in exchange for the donation they were making. Was the name going to remain on the university? And if that is the case, he very well may have a claim, despite the offensive nature of the claim that some people may perceive. But if it's just truly a donation, I wonder if he's going to succeed in court, to be perfectly honest.
Hunter, in a letter to the University of Virginia, Smith wrote in part, quote, "The university's endowment is $3.3 billion. Since you and your activists went out of your way to discredit the Williams name, and since presumably the Williams family money is tainted, demonstrate your virtue and give it all back. We will take a note back for the remaining $300 million, providing that is secured by all the campus buildings, and all your woke faculty pledge their personal assets and guarantee the note," unquote here. Hunter, talk to me about the defense of the university at this point, and would they even be obligated to do so, or is this something of a moral demand, if you will?
I think this is more of a moral demand on behalf of the plaintiffs here. A university has a right, or any institution like this has a right to either accept or reject the naming of a building, of a school, or any aspect of the institution. If it turns out later that someone who was a benefactor, who made a donation to get a naming right, if it turns out that person has something in their background that is just so against the moral compass of the institution, they have every right to take the name down. And this idea that you will factor the money to what its present value and growth and make it $3.2 billion today is almost laughable. It really is. This institution, I don't think anyone would be questioning it if it turned out that this naming right was someone who was a mass murderer and only found out today. The institution could move against that as well. It's within their right to have a naming of an institution or of a building or of a school.
All right. Sounds like we still need a few more details in the case, again, if there were any prior agreements that were made. But Brian Silber and Hunter Shkolnik, thanks for joining us today and taking up the case in National Report Court.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, members of Congress speaking out against the deplatforming of Newsmax on DirecTV. Radio host Rob Carson weighs in next.